It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, today we're going to jump on the Sharp Interactive board. I want to go through Epson's first quarter. Ladies and gentlemen, Epson, they have the technology to completely disrupt business printing. Inkjet technology. We all know what ink does, right? Well, it eliminates service. It eliminates parts. It allows dealers to create better processes to save even more money in delivering services. And ladies and gentlemen, we also know that the customers today, they don't really give a crap how good your service is every time you show up. Customers today, they want to buy products that don't need you to show up. They want to buy products that don't need service. That's how they're judging customer experience. And our industry better figure that out real quick. Because when you look around the world, look what's happening. Look what's happening in the auto industry. It's a great example. The auto industry, even if you buy a combustible engine in your car, and it's not an electrical vehicle, the combustible engines use a whole lot less service than they did just a few short years ago. You could buy a car today and not have to change the oil for 50,000 miles. Some people buy a car today, they keep it the whole 4 years, they never have a service call on it. When you look at the electrical vehicles, there is no service. So the customers, the consumers, they're trying to buy products that don't need service. They don't care about how good the crack looks on the butt of the technician trying to fix the product. They want to have an experience where they don't need to have the technician show up. So let's jump on the Sharp board. I want to share my thoughts on Epson's first quarter. Top line revenue was $2.2 billion. They had an operating profit of $109.3 million. Their operating profit declined 31.1% for the same quarter last year, but it still came in at 5%. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing wrong with that. Congratulations, Epson. Epson is a profitable company, and they always produce operating profit. You know, I believe they probably just got to control their costs more as the industry shifts and changes, and there's a lot of challenges out there in the economies all over the world. But for them to come in at 5%, I do congratulate them on that. Let's look at the total revenue for the quarter of the $2.2 billion, and I wanted to look at what's going on here in Americas. In other parts of the world, you could do the same thing. But in the Americas, $751 million for the quarter, and that's all of Epson. So they did $751 million here in Americas, and that represented 34% of the total number. And then I wanted to look at the printing solutions. So the printing solutions, that's home and office and commercial and industrial all together, for the quarter was a $1.5 billion in revenue. If you take the Americas 34%, it's $510 million here in the Americas. So, you know, $510 million for the quarter's business in Americas is a pretty good number, but it also leads me to believe how much room they have to grow. In Epson, it's not going to be about the people in the houses. It's going to be about taking away those laser-based A3s in businesses. That's where your growth's going to come from, because the people in the homes and the offices at home are going to print less and less, because it's never been about a home office. It's been about a remote worker, and remote work, what does it do? It eliminates print. But right now in offices all across the world, there's oversold A3 machines that are parts intensive, service intensive, and customers don't really care about evaluating those companies on how great the service is every time the tech shows up. They would gladly replace them for technologies where they don't need to have service. And ladies and gentlemen, I believe it's just the print channel itself that's determined to go in there and lower the price every time they sell something. But if you change the processes, if you bring in innovative processes to those end users, I don't think you have to lower the price. I think you just have to convince the customer. Don't you want a better experience? And today, that better experience is buying products that don't need service. And we all know that ink technology eliminates a whole lot of service. Let's look at the home and office printing. $1.1 billion for the first quarter globally. Here in Americas, that's $374 million. $374 million for home and office printing. Think about that, and the majority of that number is coming out of the home, not the office. Epson's got so much potential. Commercial and industrial printing for the whole world is $463 million. Here in Americas, it was $157.4 million. I believe Epson has a great opportunity to become the OEM around ink for an OEM that's laser-based. The OEMs that are laser-based understand that ink is the future. Kyocera, we see out there actually acting on it and developing ink technologies. But the other OEMs in the marketplace are going to have to address this and address it soon, because as soon as the momentum gets way, then everybody's going to shift to ink. And those friends of mine that run around and complain that ink costs more and all that crazy stuff per page, nobody cares about how much something costs per page when they're going to print less pages every single day. They're going to evaluate service by not needing technicians to show up. They're going to buy products that don't need to have a whole bunch of parts put in them. That's what the end users are going to do. So you can see by these numbers, Epson's has great potential. So do the other folks. They just got to figure out how they're going to bring ink into the marketplace. This is the revenue from office shared inkjet products, hardware and ink. And this is for the office shared products. So I'm assuming that this is for the A3 that we're seeing out there in the ink space going into office printing. Ladies and gentlemen, for the first quarter of 2023, the total revenue globally was 123.3 million. I mean, that's not a big number, leading me to believe there's huge opportunities for growth. If you look at office and home printing, total global number was 1.1 billion, which leads me to believe that office shared inkjet products is a little over 10% of the revenue. And Epson has to figure out how to get into that A3 business space and replace it either with A4 really good MFPs based on ink or A3 MFPs based on ink. But that's where their growth's going to come from, because people are going to continue to print a whole lot less at home. It's not going to be in the home printing. Everybody got a spike because of COVID and all the offices and the remote worker and the fantasy around these remote workers printing all kinds of stuff in their houses. But the reality's starting to set in, and the disruption for Epson is not going to be in the home. The growth for Epson is not going to be in the home. The growth for Epson is going to be in the business and go disrupt that laser-based marketplace. And they better hurry up and do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this slide shows millions of pieces delivered in office and home inkjet hardware sales. And you could see, folks, that it's never been less pieces. I put a red line here, but we're in the first quarter of 2023. And if you look at this high-capacity intake printer, other regions is the dark blue. Other regions, it's a lot of the pieces. Those other regions, by the way, a lot of that's in the China marketplace. And as geopolitics rears its ugly head, all those that are grabbing a bunch of revenue out of the Chinese marketplace, they're going to have to make adjustments. We can all pretty much guess they're going to have to do this. And as that happens, these companies are going to have to figure out how to get more revenues, how to deliver more products inside the Americas, number one, and the European market as well, and the NATO-friendly countries as well. Because the geopolitics around China, I don't believe is going to offer any growth for anybody. One of the things they said as they were discussing their quarter, this was on one of their slides, and I just want to read this and share some thoughts with you. Printing industry growth concerns have impacted Epson's stock valuation. Let me read that again. Printing industry growth concerns have impacted Epson's stock valuation. Epson, like all the players in the print space, are realizing when you attach print, whether it's business printing, commercial printing, just the word print, in relation to investing in a stock, the investors are saying, but people don't print anymore. This will be a problem for the whole damn industry. And we're seeing the industry's actors, Epson and the rest of them, trying to figure out how to buy back more of their stock and try to increase the value of their shares. And they're doing a lot of financial manipulation around their stock price. But they really need to be able to go out in the marketplace and prove to the investors that they can disrupt the marketplace. And in that disruption will give them a lot more revenue and a lot more profit, whether that's time-based or not. But there's a huge opportunity to replace all these to replace all these laser-based print equipment with inkjet technology. There's a huge opportunity, and Epson, you're at the forefront of this. You got to go do it. This was also in there, and I'm just going to share some of my thoughts. You know, what I don't see when they talk about their growth, I don't see them talking about black-only inkjet for MFP business printing. And I really think they need to figure this out and figure it out quick. They could do it. It's not that hard, right? They're one of the world's greatest inkjet technologies out there. They could figure out how to do it black only. And they need to develop a strategy to disrupt the MFP business printing. You know, because ladies and gentlemen, it's useless to have innovative solutions without a marketplace strategy. Innovation is not about the product. Innovation is about the process and how that process brings that product into the marketplace. And if Epson can figure out that innovative process to go after those laser-based machines, if Epson can figure out how to partner with a laser-based OEM and bring inkjet technology to that OEM and go after that OEM's myth with that new product, to me, that's the only way I believe it's going to work for Epson. They have to be able to partner with another OEM that's laser-based, that's thinking to themselves, this laser-based OEM, hey, I have to disrupt with ink. The only way I'm going to do that is to partner with someone like Epson. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about whether or not inkjet will displace laser. It's about when it'll do it. And that day is coming soon, I'm sure. And everybody watching me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.